Welcome back to the House Yourself.
Thank you very much, it's good to be here.
Today we're challenging some of the misconceptions and offering some ideas about your faith and beliefs.
Yeah.
How would you describe your faith?
That's a difficult one. I would describe it as a relationship with Jesus. Now, unfortunately most of you will immediately switch off on his name, but it is in essence a friendship, and it's almost identical to one you'd have, with anyone you know on earth. It's pretty much exactly the same.
Now, you say you don't think that your faith is a religion.
No, that's right.
How would you instead describe it?
Very, very much as a friendship, or some would describe it as a relationship. There are various metaphors in the Bible about marriage, although it isn't, in practice it is very much like a friendship, or even parenting. It's quite difficult to describe, but I'd definitely say a friendship is the closest you're going to get.
And what would you say are the basics of your faith that people need to hear?
Well, I mean, obviously Christianity is a very complex thing. I wouldn't exactly call it that. But the basics, I'd say, are that we fell, we sinned against God, and for that we now live in this world, which isn't very much perfect, as you well know. So, what God did was he sent his Son to take all of our sin and put it onto himself, and so then paying our debts to God, and so then anyone can go to heaven. That's the very basic, that's it in a nutshell.
And what misconceptions would you say surround your beliefs?
Oh, very many. The main one is that anyone who goes to church every week is a Christian, anyone who believes the basic stuff is a Christian. Arguably that's the case, but it's very, very important that you put it all into practice. So, love your neighbour is what's said a lot, and so if you go around throwing rubbish over your fence or whatever, but go to church every Sunday, you're obviously not a Christian. Only God really knows who the real Christians are, but you definitely have to put your beliefs into practice, otherwise, same with anything, it just doesn't work.
And would you prefer it if today were more like times when everybody was about Christian?
Most definitely not. If everyone went to church and believed the basic beliefs and thought they were a Christian, then I would have a great deal of trouble trying to convince people that they actually weren't. It was much more than just going to church every Sunday and singing hymns. That would annoy me quite a lot. Nowadays, basically half my job's done, because if I talk to someone about my beliefs, they don't say, "Oh, that's great, I believe that too," and just not think about it. They actually know that they don't believe the same thing.
Now, how do you know that your faith is the right one? There are many views throughout all of this world, so how can you be sure yours is the right one?
I can be sure. I can't prove it to anyone in a scientific kind of way, but I mean that's the whole point of God. I can be sure because my faith and the other people I know who are also Christians act so very differently to the believers of other religions. Now, I do not have anything against the other believers of other religions. How I see it is I love people of other religions. I just don't love the religion itself. Just the way genuinely practice what they genuinely practice what they believe, and also they also it's not something which is just a set of rules. So Jews pray every time they go for a wee, Muslims pray 5 times a day. It's all regular. You can regulate it. You just do it. You don't necessarily have to think about it. Although pattern isn't a bad thing. But in Christianity, love your neighbour. You can't regulate that. You can't force that sort of behaviour onto people. So yeah, that's why it's different, I think.
Now you said, you tell people about your faith and your beliefs, and back in the day people would just sort of laugh it off, and everyone would believe the same thing. Now, nowadays things are different.
Yeah.
So how could you give examples of how some people nowadays are hesitant to adopt the same beliefs?
Well, yeah, so Christianity is a commitment. It's well worth it. I mean, heaven and sort of knowing the God who created everything is so worth it. Now, some examples. Well, I mean, most of the time, the one I get all the time is I'll believe in God when I see him. Because obviously, God isn't obvious here. If he was, we'd probably be dead, because God is just so big and so awesome and just completely overwhelmed us. And of course, it's very important to believe in something without proof. If you can look up into the sky and see God, then it's not really a test of faith, if you will. It's just too easy, if that makes sense. I mean, there's all sorts of examples, but like the main one would be, I'll believe in God when I see him. And some interesting ones I've heard from my other friends would be, one friend in particular is, I believe in heaven and hell, but I believe I deserve to go to hell. That completely threw me. In a sense, he's right, because we all do deserve to go to hell, but our debts have been paid. So there's no real need. If that makes sense.
Is there any way that you'd like to describe the fate of the world?
Yes. One metaphor I use quite a lot, and it's not my own, but it's of a burning ship. And I heard a preacher say that it's very much like how he thought of this was there's a ship in Egypt, just in the Red Sea, I believe. And what happened was the ship was on fire, but the passengers didn't believe it. And what the crew did was they simply got into their life jackets, and they literally stood above the burning ship on a higher platform on the bridge and watched the passengers on fire, screaming for help. And they went around an escape raft and sailed away, in safety. And the preacher said, please, don't let the church be like that, just, doing up each other's life jackets and waiting for, God to come along, because, we could be like that. But, I'd very much describe it as that, like a burning ship that people don't believe is on fire, but sooner or later it's going to burn and sink, and unless we put on life jackets and prepare, we're in a lot of trouble.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to see you.